This is how leading platform companies are pushing the limit of what is possible in the automation mode. I'm now joined by the CEO and board member of another marquee platform in the automation space, Kofax, with who I'll be discussing on how he has been observing the shift in the customer landscape in the automation ecosystem and the vision they have for the future. Welcome to the session, Reynolds. It's great to have you here.
Thank you for inviting me. It's my pleasure.
So tell us a little bit about Kofax and how you're helping companies leverage automation successfully.
Sure. As you probably know from our engagement in the past, we're very much of a global company. We have over 2,200 employees and more than 25,000 customers throughout the world in over 30 countries. We have a very strong presence in a number of verticals, including financial services, manufacturing and retail, healthcare, and also government. And across these and other markets, we help our customers digitally transform what we think about as would otherwise be labor-intensive, time-consuming, and costly processes. We do this by using Kofax Total Agility, our intelligent automation platform, which allows them to realize faster time to value, increased compliance, greater competitiveness, growth, and profitability.
And how have the customer expectation changed and evolved over the last several years? What is customer demanding from Kofax?
Yes, well, that's certainly evolved over time. As you may know, the company was actually founded about 30 years ago. I joined as CEO in 2007. So we've seen quite a journey in customers' desires and also expectations from the sort of solutions they're receiving. Back when I joined the company, customers were really focused solely on digitizing paper documents for storage and retrieval purposes. They soon realized that they could yield significantly greater benefits by automating the synergistic downstream knowledge worker processes needed to understand and act upon the content of those document images. And they also saw that they needed to ingest other sources of information flowing into their business, such as emails, internet portals, and electronic data streams, to name a few. So they were initially focused on eliminating paper, but soon realized that there were even greater benefits arising from reduced cost, increased accuracy, and accelerating processes. So over time, they also came to realize the benefits coming from better compliance and competitive advantage arising from being more responsive to their customers. More recently, with the pandemic and everyone working from home, this launched us into a real hyper-growth market. In parallel with that, Kofax has transitioned from being a leading intelligent document processing software and solutions provider to providing much more comprehensive and compelling intelligent automation software and solutions.
And you talked about from an intelligent document processing provider to a more intelligent automation provider. And AI is the core of what we call a hybrid intelligent automation and the new avatar of automation as we define it. What is the role of AI in the context of Kofax offers to customers? And can you talk about how you're looking to further scale your AI and ML capabilities?
Sure. Well, I think AI and machine learning capabilities are some of the newer technologies flowing into these sorts of solutions. But if you look back on what's occurred over time, not only AI and machine learning, but also things like natural language processing, big data, analytics, and other emerging technologies have become extremely important capabilities and have allowed us and others to enhance intelligent automation software and solutions. We were one of the early adopters of all of these technologies in order to reduce the amount of effort required by our customers to deploy such applications. As a result, today, as you well know, citizen developers can now develop and deploy these solutions faster than anyone had ever imagined. And this, in other ways, has made the hyper in hyper automation. Years of development experience and programming knowledge are now a thing of the past. To give you an example, one of the most complex solutions we've developed and offer on a global basis is what we call global finance or global trade finance, or in more simplistic terms, the settlement of letters of credit. Now, if you know anything about settling letters of credit, it's a very complex challenge because these involve incredibly high volumes and many different types of documents. and information from numerous sources in a variety of languages, and you have hundreds of thousands of these types of documents flowing through that type of a process in the past, all of which have to be compared and contrasted, and any differences, which are inevitable, have to be adjudicated or resolved prior to payment or the actual settlements being made. We could never have implemented that type of solution at many of the world's leading banks without the type of technology investments that we've talked about. And so we have a number of initiatives over the years that we've executed on to integrate all these technologies and others that I've talked about. And now we're really focused more on intelligent automation and have that buried deep within the whole underlying platform to leverage it to its greatest extent.
And in terms of your sales process to customers, is it changing? For example, like when you started in the early part of Kofax, you were looking at digitization of existing document. I'm assuming that the business owners of that function is very different. And as automation becomes core part of what we're calling as DD 2.0, Digital Transformation 2.0, now CIOs, CEOs are very interested in how can automation make a big difference in their organization or on experience, what we're calling integrated customer experience. So how is the persona of your customers starting to change? Are there different personas? And is there a sales model, how you sell to them starting to change?
Sure. Well, it used to be pretty simple. Now it's much more challenging and complex. Because what's happened over time is originally, many, many years ago, it was really the information technology or CIO organization that was looking at these technologies and making the decisions. That migrated over time out of the IT organization more into what we would refer to as back office managers. So, I don't want to, diminish their importance, but in many cases, these were the back office, heavyweight, heavy lifting sorts of applications that oftentimes took place, in the back of the business or in the basement of the business, and nobody paid a whole lot of attention to them. But at that point in time, the managers operating those processes, became aware of the sort of benefits of the solutions that we provided, and they started to have higher expectations of what we could provide and the amount of labor that we could actually automate and eliminate. Over time, and here more recently, that's gone from the back office to what we would call the front office. So for an example of that would be at Wells Fargo, which is a very large customer of ours and has been for almost 20 years now, where initially we were solely in their mortgage loan processing area. But over time, and this shows a result of the change that I sort of talked about, over time, we have now penetrated every single line of business that Wells Fargo operates in around the world. And so now it's been transitioned to the line of business owner, which is a much higher level individual in the organization. We call those the front office decision makers. And they have a much greater knowledge of the solutions they want to deploy, the sort of benefits they're looking for, and the return on investment that they need in order to justify that investment. So as a result of all that, it's increasingly become more complex and challenging, and we've had to morph our entire sales organization in order to address those changes.
Interesting. So started from the CIO organization, went into the back office leadership, then coming into the front office, and we also
the IT organization or CIO still remains involved because they have to give a stamp of approval for the technology you're deploying in the platform it requires.
Just switching a little bit about the supply side landscape around automation, and it's been evolved, and Kofax is one of the early provider and one of the few companies to have a complete solution on automation. It's starting to evolve. Like we are starting to see companies, the hyperscalers, starting to build a certain type of automation capability within there. It could be an API call into the AI systems, or they're building their own system like Power Platform from Microsoft, or you have Google, which is closely partnering with Automation Anywhere to kind of have them be cloud native. So that's one strategy for hyperscaler. Then you have company like ServiceNow, which are more largely an application automation company. In a very specific use case, they're coming into being a platform. Then you have companies like RPA vendors, legacy RPA vendors are moving into be more platform companies and potentially build more vertical solutions. Mm-hmm. So you have a wide range of options available for enterprises to make a decision. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you think about it, how do you see this market structure evolving over a period of time? And is it going to be best of breed or one platform? You know, how are your customers thinking about their footprint of different automation solutions within their organization?
Sure. Well, I think it's become a very crowded space, particularly today. And I think a lot of that is a result of increased awareness about intelligent automation and the opportunities in the marketplace. And that's resulted in quite a few new entries by organizations with venture capital or public investor support entering the market. I think that's just that itself has gone through hyperscaling over the last several years, as you're well aware. And I think interesting from my perspective, at least, and I don't know, maybe others disagree with me, but from my perspective, during that period of time, there was a real focus on what I would refer to as growth at any cost. And so organizations and their investors and sponsors were driving them to grow the top line without having any real line of sight to profitability. And I don't want to name names, but I think there's an abundant examples of that in both the private and the public equity markets. So I think investors today are rapidly moving away from that strategy to one more focused on prudent spending, mm-hmm. and organizations needing to have a rational plan to achieve profitability eventually. This is inevitably going to result in a consolidation of the players in the marketplace, I believe. And there'll be a lot more consolidation through acquisitions of companies. And I believe some players will actually go out of business because the additional equity or debt that they might need in order to continue with their previous strategy may not be available or only available at an incredibly high cost.
And what does it mean for enterprise decision making, right? And companies are buying or using all of these new solutions and systems. What should, if you're a buyer of a large enterprise, what should be wary of when you're making these platform choices or application choices?
Well, I think when you do that, I think you have to, again, in this environment, not in the past necessarily, but in this environment, I think organizations looking for intelligent automation solutions need to increase their diligence on the background and the financial stability and profitability or ability to continue to fund their business and remain in existence before they make those investments in their intelligent automation solutions.
Got it. And also what the roadmap says in certain companies versus what do they actually have, because they might not have the money to invest in the roadmap, what they're projecting. So you almost have to make a decision on what are they good at. And in some level, that could also mean it will create a best of breed kind of solution for a company so that it's not just one platform, but they're going to use the best of breed across different companies to come in.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And a lot of companies will overpromise and unfortunately underdeliver.
Yeah. So guys, great to hear for audience. A lot of them are from large enterprises. The other final question I had is in terms of your investments in scaling Kofax. I know you changed owner in the last year. What does it mean from an investment perspective, and what does future look like for you, Kofax?
Well, as you point out, we were owned by Thoma Bravo, a premier private equity firm focused solely on software for about 5 years. Had an incredibly productive and collaborative relationship with the firm, but we had created an enormous amount of value in the business, and it was time for them to exit. So earlier this year, Thoma sold the company to TA Associates, which is one of the oldest private equity firms in the United States, and also Clearlake Capital, which is headquartered up in Los Angeles, both of whom we knew prior to the sale and were very comfortable with, and we're happy to be working with them now. Again, just like Toma, we have a very collaborative and productive relationship. Unlike a number of other private equity firms that have what they call a playbook and say, you're going to run the business this way, and if you don't like it, we'll find someone else that will. Which in that case, I wouldn't be here today because I don't want to work in that kind of environment. But we have a lot of support from them to continue to transform, evolve, and grow Kofax as we move forward. And I think one of the things we'll be focused on is, as I mentioned earlier, we have a very strong presence in financial services, manufacturing and retail, healthcare, and also government. And as a result of that, I think we'll probably be sharpening our focus on those verticals and expect to see even faster growth as a result of that going forward. In addition, we'll continue consolidating the marketplace through acquisitions. As you well know, earlier this year, we made 2 acquisitions, one of a company called Tungsten, that was public on the London Stock Exchange and has extremely good e-invoicing capabilities, which is becoming a mandate throughout Europe, and augments our existing invoice processing and accounts payable automation solutions. So it's very, very complementary, and together we provide an even stronger solution. But in addition to that, we'll be acquiring companies that we think have unique capabilities in order for us to gain additional competitive advantage. So, since I joined the company back in 2007, we've acquired 16 companies.
Oh, wow.
So we know how to do it. We know how to integrate the companies in record-breaking time and make them very productive and complementary with our business. So we're certainly going to continue that well into the future.
Amazing. And you're acquiring all of these companies, but also staying to the core of the areas where Kofax is highly differentiated and adding significant value to the customer, and also expanding into newer verticals, taking the expertise what you have in verticals like retail and banking and financial services, and taking it to other verticals who can get the same kind of benefits what your existing customers are getting in these verticals.
Exactly. It ends up being a real benefit for our customers because they have more higher value solutions. They have a broader range of solutions they can choose from, and everyone really benefits from that.
Great. Thanks, Reynolds. It was great having you share your thoughts and insights on what's happening in automation today, but more importantly, where things are going to end up in the future.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. I enjoyed it. Been fun talking, and I'll look forward to our next chat.
Look forward to it. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you.